So today we will be discussing about the elementary signals. Okay, like we have. I hope my screen is visible and I am clearly audible, right? So okay. So like we have
Yes,
different types of compounds that exist in the nature. These compounds are made from different elements. Similarly, the signals that exist in nature, they are also actually made from the combination of few elementary signals. Okay, so let us discuss them one by one. The first elementary signal is the unit impulse signal. The unit impulse signal. Okay, so this unit impulse function is represented as del of t. Okay, and is one of the most important functions in the study of signals and systems. Let me just write it and you could just note it. The unit impulse function, okay, it is denoted as del of t. Just a minute. Yeah, it is denoted like this, del of t. Okay, is one of the most important functions. Okay. How it is expressed, let's see. So it is also known as your direct delta, DIRAC. Direct delta is its another name, and expressed as this much. So it is equivalent to your del of t, okay, is equal to 0 for t is not equal to 0. Okay, let it be equation number 1. So it is represented like this. So del of t exists only at one location, that is at t equal to 0. Everywhere else its value is 0. Okay, so there is another specific characteristic of it, that means
so t equals to
t
0 and
not
not
equal
equals
to
to 0.
0. Del of t is equal to 0 for t not equal to 0, which means it doesn't exist beyond 1. Sorry, beyond 0. It doesn't exist beyond 0. That means at t is equal to 0, it has some value. We will see what is it. So, however, outside 0, it doesn't exist. I'll show you that also. Okay. So, another expression about it is, excuse me. So, integral from minus infinity to infinity. Okay. Your del of t dt is equal to 1. That is your equation number 2. That means if we try to integrate it from minus infinity to infinity, okay, essentially what we are doing is we are trying to find out the area, or we are trying to find out the strength of this unit impulse. So it is equal to 1. Okay, so how it can be visualized, let me show you that also. So the impulse can be visualized as a tall, narrow, okay, rectangular pulse. Rectangular pulse, okay, of unit area. Try to understand this, of unit area. Why unit area? Because it has the characteristic integral from minus infinity to infinity del of t dt equal to 1. Okay, so we could always show this signal and it will appear like this. Okay, so this is your del of t. Okay, so it could be visualized as a tall, narrow rectangular pulse. The equivalent of this unit impulse can be shown like this. Let me just show you. So this is your 0. So we visualize it as a tall, narrow rectangular pulse, something like this. Its width is from minus epsilon by 2 to epsilon by 2, which means its width is epsilon and its height is 1 by epsilon. Try to understand this. its width is epsilon. See, minus epsilon by 2 to epsilon by 2. Okay, you find the difference between them. It will be how much? Epsilon. So its width is epsilon and its height is 1 by epsilon. Okay, and your epsilon tends to 0. Epsilon tends to 0. So what would happen if epsilon tends to 0? See, the width becomes, width will tend to 0 while the height will go to infinity. Okay, the height will go to infinity. However, if you integrate this, okay, integrating, I hope you understand it, that you have to find this area. If you find this area, then it will be equal to 1. Okay, these are the characteristics of this unit impulse. Okay, so it is shown like this, as I have shown in this first diagram. Normally it is visualized like this, but its equivalent is like this. Okay, it is visualized like this. Okay, a arrow pointing upwards, while the equivalent is actually like this. It is a tall narrow rectangular pulse where the width is epsilon and the height tends to 1 by epsilon and epsilon tends to 0. So when epsilon tends to 0, the width tends to 0, height tends to infinity. However, if you find this area which I have shown in the violet color, highlighted, so if you find that area, it will be equivalent to 1. Okay, you could note this thing also. The width, you could note it, the width of this rectangular pulse, the width of this rectangular pulse is a very small value, epsilon, and its height is a very large value, epsilon. Okay, sorry, 1 by epsilon. So its height is a very large value, 1 by epsilon, in the limit epsilon tends to 0. Okay, so the next thing that we will be discussing, I hope you have understood what is unit impulse signal. So the next thing that we will be discussing is multiplication of a function by impulse. Actually, it is necessary to know it because there is a property of this unit impulse that when we multiply the unit impulse with any signal, it just samples it. In the previous class, I had given you an example that suppose there is a water body, there is a pond, and you want to taste the water in that pond, the quality of water in that pond. So you will take a dropper and you will take a sample of the water. So if you similarly in the case of signal, if you have a signal and you multiply this unit impulse to it, it will be able to take a sample out of that signal. How it is going to do that? To understand that we have to understand the multiplication of a function by an unit impulse. So let us discuss it. So multiplication of a function by an unit impulse. Okay, so let us consider a function, okay, first, and we multiply it with an unit impulse. So let me write that also. So let us consider what happens when we multiply your del of t by a function phi of t. Okay, by a function phi of t that is known to be continuous at your t equal to 0. Okay, so what we are doing here, we are taking two signals. One is that unit impulse, which looks like this, and another function. This is your del of t, and another function, let's say that is phi of t. Okay, phi of t is something like this, phi of t, and phi of t is continuous at t is equal to 0. That means phi of t exists at t equal to 0. Otherwise, how we are going to multiply? If it is not existing at your t equal to 0, and we multiply these two signals, then we will get a 0. Okay, so we will be multiplying only these two signals and we will be observing. Okay, so one thing that you should note here is that, let me just redraw it and let me show you. Suppose this is your, not suppose, this is your unit impulse, del of t. And to this, you are going to multiply a signal, this phi of t. Okay, so how you will multiply? Normally, if you multiply this, how will you multiply? Obviously, this is the 0 position. The 0 position will be multiplied with the 0 position. Suppose 1 is here, suppose 2 is here, suppose 3 is here. In the same way, here also 1 is here, 2 is here, 3 is here. So in this way, they will be multiplied. But whatever is existing at this location will be multiplied to what is present at this location. Okay. Similarly, whatever is present at this location, that will be multiplied with what is present at that location. Similarly, whatever is present here at 2 will be multiplied to the value of del of t at 2. Okay. In this way, it will be multiplied. On the other side also, the same thing will happen. Okay. But one thing that you could note here is that the value of del of t outside 0 is actually 0. On this side of your del of t and on this side, there is nothing. It is actually 0. It doesn't exist there. Okay. So that means the only thing that is relevant, or the only thing that will be multiplied with this del of t, is the value of phi of t. Okay. The value of phi of t at small t is equal to 0. That is at this location, which I have shown in orange, of the value of phi of t. That value is only relevant. And what is the value of del of t at t is equal to 0? Can you tell me? At t equal to 0, what is the value of phi of t? Isn't it phi of 0? Isn't it? Got it?
Yes, sir.
Or any? So what we will be multiplying, to del of t, we will be multiplying only phi of 0. That is actually the actual relevant thing that will be multiplied. The other things are not relevant, because if you multiply them with phi of t, obviously you will be getting 0. Okay. So we will be considering only that value. So let us multiply that. Now, since the impulse exists only at your small t is equal to 0, okay, and the value of your phi of t, okay, at your t is equal to 0 is how much? It is your phi of 0. Okay, so that will be of relevance and we will be multiplying. So let me write it here. So we obtain your phi of t multiplied with del of t, okay, is equal to how much? Phi of 0, because that is the only relevant thing, multiplied with your del of t. Okay, let it be equation number 3a. Okay. So similarly, now what we will do, we will shift the unit impulse and we will multiply that with that function. Okay, let us do that. So let me write it and then I will also explain it. Similarly, okay, if your phi of t is multiplied by an impulse del of small t minus capital T. Okay, that is, what is it? It is a, you could see that this is a delayed impulse. Okay, so an impulse sorry, not yeah, a delayed impulse. So an impulse located at your small t is equal to capital T. So at this location that impulse is located. Okay. So then what will happen? Just let us see. So what we are doing here, see, just read this line again. Similarly, if your phi of t is multiplied by an impulse del of small t minus capital T, an impulse located at small t is equal to capital T, then what will happen? Let's see. Okay. So this is the impulse, shifted impulse. Normally the impulses should be located at this location at t is equal to 0. Okay, it should be like this. But if it is a shifted impulse, it will be at some other location. So where it will be located? Just a minute. So it will be located at a different location. It will be located at if this is 0 and let's say this is your capital T, so it will be located at this location. So this is your del of small t minus capital T. So this is a shifted impulse, as you can see. So now we will see what happens when shifted impulse is multiplied with the same continuous function. So this is the 0 position, and we knew that this signal was like this, and we have assumed that the signal is also continuous at small t is equal to capital T. Okay, and
Sir, 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 if capital T is not equals to 0, right? So then the value will be all 0.
no. What we have done here is
T is equals to 0, then only that exists, right?
yes, that is correct. See, you try to understand one thing, okay? That here in this del of t, we are not trying to find del of capital T. There is a huge difference between this del of capital T and the del of small t minus capital T. Got it? When you write del of capital T, when you write this del of capital T, whatever we have written here, that means this signal is del of t, but we are trying to find out its value at small t is equal to capital T. So at this location, what is its value? We are trying to find it out. Got it? Now, when it is written as del of small t minus capital T, that doesn't mean we are trying to find a value. What we are doing here is we are delaying the signal. You could see we are delaying the signal by capital T. And we are shifting that signal. If you could remember the signal manipulation, there we were finding it out. A signal was given, then we were delaying it. Do you remember it? So there is a huge difference between these two terms. Del of capital T and del of small t minus capital T are different. So if you try to find out del of capital T, it will be obviously 0. Okay, but we are not doing that. What we are doing is we are shifting that impulse to a different location. Okay.
Yes.
And we are then multiplying it with this function. So see, when we are multiplying it with this function, what is of relevance here? That we should understand. So what is of relevance here? See, we will be multiplying this with this. So only this, the value of your phi of t at your small t is equal to capital T. That means this location is of importance, because at the other locations, the value of this unit, the value of the unit impulse is actually 0. If we go this side, similarly, if we go this side, okay, or we go this side, the values are all 0. So they are not of relevance. Only the location where I have marked it in green, that location is important, because only that value will be multiplied. Okay. So what is the value of phi of t at small t is equal to capital T? Can you tell me now? Yes, any answers? Tell me.
So phi of small t minus capital T.
No.
Phi of capital T
Yes. So it will
into
be phi of capital T. That will be, this value is phi of capital T. See, if I had written phi of small t minus capital T, then, okay, this signal that is there, let me just show you that signal in a different color. So this signal that is there, this signal, will be delayed. Try to understand this. If I write phi of small t minus capital T, this signal will be delayed. We don't need to delay the signal. We are trying to find the signal at small t equal to capital T. So that value is actually phi of capital T. Okay. So this will be of relevance. So let us write it in the form of an expression. Okay. So then we could write it like this, that phi of t, okay, multiplied with your del of t minus small t minus capital T is equal to nothing but phi of capital T multiplied with del of small t minus capital T. Okay. So let it be equation number 3b. Okay. So one thing that you should note here, that provided, this condition thing will be valid provided that your phi of t is defined at small t equal to capital T. So phi of t is defined at small t is equal to capital T. So if phi of t is not present, then what is the meaning of multiplying it? Obviously there will be no meaning. So your phi of t should be defined at that point. Okay. So now from these two equations 3a and 3b, we will be able to find out the sampling property of unit impulse. Let us combine them and find out the property. So sampling property of unit impulse. Okay. So from equation 3, from your equation 3, a and b both. So what we could do is we could integrate the both sides, and we could write it in this way: integral from minus infinity to infinity. Okay. So phi of t into del of small t minus capital T. So the previous equation only we have written, and we are integrating both sides. So that is equal to how much? We could now replace this with this equation with phi of with this equation. You could just have a look on it, then we will go further. So we have taken inside that integral this value, right? So we could always replace that with this value, phi of t, phi of capital T into del of small t minus capital T. So let us replace them. So this could be written as phi of capital T, because this phi of capital T is independent of this small t. Just a minute. This integral is with respect to t, dt. So phi of capital T could come outside the integral, and then integral from minus infinity to infinity del of, just a minute, del of, just a minute. Okay. So del of small t minus capital T dt. Okay. So integral from minus infinity to infinity phi of t del of small t minus capital T dt would be equal to phi of capital T, because this capital T is independent, just come out, because this phi of t is independent of this, that dt, that small t, that's why it could come out of the integral. And then in the integral we have integral from minus infinity to infinity del of small t minus capital T dt. However, we know that if we have a impulse like this and we integrate it, okay, let's say this is 0 and this is capital T. So if we have an impulse like this and we try to find out the area of this impulse, then we know that the area of an impulse is equal to 1. So that integral that you see here, that will be equivalent to 1. So this reduces to your phi of capital T. Okay. So provided that your phi of t is continuous at your small t equal to capital T. This condition needs to be valid, then it will work. So what do you understand from this equation? Is there anything you understand from this equation? Just note these two lines. I will tell you, just a minute. Okay. So you note these lines. You note this. Okay. And you note this. What do you understand from this equation? So let me explain what we can understand from this equation. So when you have a signal, okay, so suppose you have a signal like this, something like this, okay, and let's say this is your phi of t, and with this phi of t, okay, if you are multiplying a impulse which is located, let's say here, capital T, so if you multiply these two, what you are getting, you know, you are getting this. Let me just show you. You are getting only this. You are getting this. Whatever I have shown here in red, that is the thing that you are getting. That means when you multiply unit impulse with any signal, okay, so it is just sampling it. It is taking a sample from it. Okay. So that's why it is called your sampling property of unit impulse. Okay. So let me write that. So this property is called the sampling property. The sampling property of unit impulse. Okay. Okay. So the next elementary signal that we will be studying is the unit step function. The unit step function. Okay. So like the unit impulse was denoted by del of t. Similarly, the unit step function is denoted by u of small t, like this. Okay. So let us see what is the value of this unit impulse function. How does it look like? Okay. So another familiar and useful function is unit step function. Unit step function. Okay. Your u of t, and it is denoted like this. Let me just show you. So u of t is equal to 1, okay, for your t greater than or equal to 0. Try to understand this. The value of u of t is equal to 1 for t greater than or equal to 0, and it is equal to 0 for t less than 0. Okay. So can you tell me how it will look like looking at this equation? Could you tell me how this signal will look like? So let me show you. So this is your 0.
Right shifted.
Right?
Sir, only right shifted, like after
No,
0.
not right shifted. This signal will be present only towards the right. On the left, there will be no signal. That is one thing that is clear. Okay. You could see, it is written u of t is equal to 1, okay, for t greater than or equal to 0. That means when t is greater than or equal to 0, okay, greater than or equal to 0 means this area, this whole area, greater than or equal to 0. So this side it will be present, and its value is how much? 1. So if this is your 1, okay, it will be like this, and it will go up to infinity, till infinity. On the left side, it doesn't exist. You could see that on the left side its value is 0. That means for t less than 0, its value is 0. That means this left side, it doesn't exist. So this signal will look like this. Okay. Now it is a very simple signal, but what is its use? The real-time signals. Real-time signal means the music, the videos, the whatever which you could see, okay, or whatever we use actually. All those signals start at your small t is equal to 0, and they go on. They never start at your t is equal to -1, -2, -3. There they cannot start. So if you have a signal which is starting from, let's say, t is equal to -3 or -4 or -5 or something, and you want to like make that signal, you want it to be possible to generate that signal, then you normally multiply this u of t with it. Okay, so if you multiply in u of t with any signal, so it will make it causal. We call it causal, or a signal which has only right side component. So let's say we have a signal like this, okay, and this is 0. Okay, we want to generate this kind of signal. Okay, let's say this is your phi of t, and you want to generate this phi of t. You know, if this signal is starting from, let's say, minus infinity and it is going up to minus infinity, then you have to go to minus infinity to generate this signal. Do you think it is possible? Obviously, it is not possible. Okay, so what you will do to this signal, you will multiply a unit step signal like this. Okay, so when you multiply this signal, the right side remains. This right side will remain, because see, 1 multiplied, okay, 1 multiplied with anything is that value, so it will remain. This other side, it will become 0. The other side will become 0. So if we multiply these two signal, we will get a signal like this. Only this signal will be present. So you could now generate this signal at small t is equal to 0. You could start generating that signal. So that is possible. Although it is not possible to generate a signal which goes up to infinity, right? So it must be of limited time duration, obviously. So if it is up to, let's say, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, like that, or 10 seconds, you could always generate it. Okay. So whenever you have a signal like this, which starts from minus infinity or minus 5 or minus 6, you cannot go to the past to generate that signal. You could generate the signal from the present. Okay, so that's why we normally multiply the unit step function there. Got it? So let us write that also. So if we want a signal to start at your small t is equal to 0, okay, we multiply the signal u of t, okay. So remember one more point, that a signal that starts after small t is equal to 0 is a causal signal. Okay, the name given to it is causal signal. Similarly, a signal which starts at before small t is equal to 0 is a non-causal signal. Got it? So if all the real-time signals are actually causal. Try to understand this. All the real-time signals are causal. That means the signal that we see in our day-to-day life, or we use in our day-to-day life, they are all causal. Okay. The next one is your ramp function. Okay, a ramp function. So ramp function is also simple. It is denoted by your r of t. Okay, and r of t is equal to t. Try to understand this. R of t equal to t. Otherwise, it is also shown like this. R of t is equal to at, where a will provide the slope of this signal. Okay, and this signal is drawn like this. See, let's say this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Okay, and on this side also it is like this. Let's say this is 1, 2, and this is 3. Okay, so this signal will look, how it will look like. See, this is t. Okay, you could see r of t is equal to t. Okay, so that means it will be like this. Whatever is the value of t, accordingly the value of the signal will be like that. So it will be like this. So if your r of t is equal to t, it will have a slope of 45 degree. Okay, and that means your y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1 will be equal to 1 if your r of t is equal to t. If your r of t is equal to at, A will be defined by the slope. Okay, if it is 3 by 4, obviously y will be 3 and this will be 4. Okay, so accordingly the slope will be defined. Let me just draw one for you. Yeah. Let's say r of t is equal to 3 by 4t. I hope it is visible. Let me use some other color. So r of t is equal to, let's say, 3 by 4t. So you have to have the slope like that. Okay, 3 here and 4 here. Okay, so this signal will look like this. Okay, in this way you could draw it. So the ramp signal is like this, that is, I have shown you here. It looks like this. Okay, then the next signal is the sinc function. Okay, so sinc is not a very new function. Actually, it is actually the value of sin x by x. So let me write that. So the function sin x by x, okay, whole by x, okay, sin x whole by x is the sine. Try to understand this. The name is sine over argument. Okay, sine over argument function. So it is named as sine over argument. Okay, and it is denoted by sinc of x. So sin x by x is also known as sinc x. Okay, so it is also denoted like this. Let me show you. So it is also denoted by SA of x. In some books you will find it to be denoted by SA of x. Okay, however its value is sin x by x. So it is defined as sinc of x is equal to sin x by x. Sometimes you will find in some books that it will be sin pi x by pi x also, as it will be given like this also. So both forms are correct. There is no mistake in any of those. Okay, this is also correct and this is also correct. Both are correct. Let me now show you the shape of this function. How does it actually look like? Okay. So it will look like this. You must have seen this figure somewhere in communication engineering books. A lot of books have this figure. So it will be like this. Okay, and this is your 0. This is at your pi. Okay, at pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, at all those values, and minus pi, minus 2 pi, minus 3 pi, all those values. Wherever the value of your sin pi is 0, its value is 0. Okay, except at t equal to 0. Except at t equal to 0. Okay, where its value is actually 1. At the all other places, okay, where your sin pi is 0, at all those locations it is 0. Okay, so it is like this. So in this case your time variable is x, that's why we could write it like this. This way it is your x. Okay, so it is denoted like this. We will be using this function a lot, so remember this. Let me write a few properties of this sinc function. So properties of sinc, SINC, sinc function. Okay, the first property is sinc is an even function of x. Sinc is an even function of x. Okay, from its shape you could always say that it is symmetrical. Okay, so it is even. So this is one property. Sinc is an even function of x. Then the second one is your sinc is equal to 0, okay, when your sin x equal to 0, except at your x equal to 0. That is what I am saying, Aniket. So we could say that sinc of x is equal to 0 for your small t is equal to plus minus pi, comma plus minus 2 pi, comma plus minus 3 pi, dot 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 dot. This will go on. Huh? So the specialty of this function is like that only at these locations it is 0, and only at sinc is equal to 0 it is not 0. Okay. Then the next one is the triangular pulse. Triangular pulse. Okay. So triangular pulse, let's see. So it is denoted, it is given by x of t is equal to delta, okay, of t, and that is equal to 1 minus t mod by a, for your t mod is less than equal to a, okay, and it is equal to 0 elsewhere, or we could write it as it is equal to 0 for t mod is greater than a, okay. We could always plot it, so it will look like this. The triangular pulse will look like this, okay. So this is your a and this is your minus a, and the value here is 1, okay. So from you could see that is from 0 to a or minus a, it exists because its value there is how much, 1 minus t mod by a. That's why it exists there. At all the other locations its value is 0, because you could see the second expression. That is the reason, okay. So this was one function. Then the next function is the signum function. Signum function, okay. So signum is also a very simple function. Here your x of t is equal to sgn of t, okay, and its value is equal to 1. Just a minute. So its value is 1 for t greater than 0, and it is equal to 0, okay, for t is equal to 0, and it is equal to minus 1 for your t less than 0, okay. So you could note it that
So
x
that
of t,
SGN or SGN.
sgn, it is sgn, okay. So we could always plot it. You could see that its value is 1 for t greater than 0. Let me just plot it. So this is your 0 position, as you could see, okay. So when t is greater than 0, its value is t is greater than 0, its value is 1. So it will be like this. And when t is less than 0, its value is minus 1. So it will be like this. Normally it is shown like this. This is your minus 1 and this is your 1. Okay. So this is the signum function. The next one is the most important of all, the exponential function. The exponential signal or exponential function. Okay. So exponential signals could be of two types. One is your real exponential, real signal, that doesn't have obviously have an imaginary part. Real exponential. Okay. So how it is denoted? It is denoted as x of t is equal to a e to the power small b t. Okay. So where your a and b are real. Okay. So it is like it could be also shown in the form of a graph. Okay, when your B is positive, depending on whether B is positive or negative, you will get different kinds of graphs. Let me just show you. When B is positive, it will be a increasing exponential, something like this. When B is positive, when B is negative, it will be a decaying exponential, and it will look like this. Okay, this is your 0, and this is B is negative. So when B is negative, it decays, and when B is positive, it increments. Okay, so exponential signal can be shown like this. So this is a real exponential. It doesn't have an imaginary part. Okay, the next one is your complex exponential. Complex exponential, and it is denoted by your x of t is equal to a e to the power j. J is actually your complex value, root over of -1. Normally you denote it as I, but here in electrical engineering we denote it as j. So j omega 0 t. So in this way we denote it. Okay, where your omega 0, okay, is equal to 2 pi f0, and which could also be written as 2 pi by t, and it defines the angular frequency. Okay, so this denotes your angular frequency. Actually, the complex exponential is a rotating phasor. Okay, so angular frequency in radians per second. Okay, your omega 0 is the angular frequency in radians per second, and here your f0 is equal to the frequency. Okay, and if we write capital T there, as we have written in 2 pi by t, t is actually the time in seconds. Okay, so frequency will be in hertz and time will be in seconds. Okay, so this angular phasor can be written in a different form also, in an alternative form also. So your x of t is equal to a e to the power j omega 0 t. This could be always written by using the Euler's formula as a, taking it outside. It could be expressed in the form of cos and sine, as cos omega 0 t plus j sine omega 0 t. We have just used the Euler's formula here, if you could recall. Okay, so it could be also written as, if we multiply that a inside that bracket, we could write it as a cos omega 0 t plus j a sine omega 0 t. So it could be also written in this form. So this is, here you could clearly see which one is the real part and which one is the imaginary part. Okay, imaginary part. So the real part and the imaginary part could be shown. Okay, so the real part will be actually like this. So this is your omega 0. This is your omega 0 t. This is your imaginary axis. This is your real axis. And this is a rotating phasor actually. So it is normally plotted like this. And this is the strength A. Just a minute. This one is not required. The first one is not required. This is the best representation of this particular complex elementary signal. So it is normally shown as a rotating phasor of strength A and the angle omega 0 t. So these are the different elementary signals. Okay. The next thing that we will be discussing is the classification of systems.